Men of Reddit, what's your creepy girl story? I was like 13, 14 years old, was playing Gaia Online, some lame social networking game from like 2002, and met some girl. We hit it off and started chatting over AIM. Definitely did the cringy cybering thing too. Well, eventually she comes clean that she's actually like late 20s, like 28 or something. Being a horny 14-year-old dude, that didn't bother me one bit. So then we start video chatting and she's like, fully fapping on cam with me. Again, 14-year-old me is not seeing an issue with this. Eventually she starts talking about coming to visit so we can actually have sex. Again, not seeing the issue beyond the fact that she really was not very attractive. But even still, I didn't think she was serious until she emails me a copy of her flight itinerary. At this point I panicked and blocked her, deleted my AIM and stayed away from the computer for like 6 months and never heard from her again. Whoa. I would have called the cops after the ticket thing. Especially that you had evidence. Honestly, at that age I just thought I was gonna get in trouble more than anything. Especially since this was on the family computer. I was in New Orleans watching some street performers go crazy and a mum came up behind me and fully grabbed both of my ass cheeks. I was 18 and standing next to both of my parents and she said, "Hey, you remind me of my son," which is probably one of the weirdest things to say in that moment. I wouldn't want to be her kid if she's the kind of mum to full on grab her son's ass like that. In a public place, no less. I wonder if she now tells him that he reminds her of a kid in New Orleans. Except his arms weren't broken. You had to bring that one up, didn't you, you bastard? She befriended my younger sister just to get her to ask her to a sleepover. I woke up in the middle of the night with her laying in bed with me. I was 17 years old. She was 13. I know the majority of abuse happens when men assault young women, but people like to pretend that young girls don't have actual motive or agency. I cringe when I think of the exy things I used to do at 13 to get a guy's attention. I had a crush on my dad's friend's son. He was 16 or 17. I'd do the whole lean over with a low-cut top thing. I'd brush my ass against him in the hallway. One time I just freaking ran and tackled him over the couch. I was going to play it off as play wrestling. The worst I ever witnessed was at a barbecue party one of my girlfriend's parents had. We were about 15 at the time and one of our friends decided to unilaterally sit in the lap of this boy. He looked pretty cool with it and it only raised a few eyebrows, but she kept sitting there, talking to him, with her back turned. Weird, and the kitchen slowly cleared out. It was just me, the girl whose parents were hosting the party, and the guy and our girlfriend on his lap. She started grinding on him so hard that people from the patio could see, and he just had his hands out wide like I'm not doing anything. Poor guy was like 18 or 19 and obviously shy around girls, because he didn't know how to say no. Young teenage girls be hella horny, dude. Without context, FBI open up. FBI isn't invited to our sleepover. In elementary school I would meow at boys I liked, because I thought it was exy. I had a friend who went absolutely crazy after her boyfriend broke up with her. Cutting, trying to force him to get back together, getting him kicked out of the group to isolate him only for it to backfire and throw a fit, etc. And that was only freshman year. When he started dating another girl from our group senior year, she pretended to be cool, only to lie to the girl and try and convince her to break up with him, because he was definitely texting her last night. Oh, and also Jet told her he hated her, and that she was ugly, and that he actually loved her. Crazy girl, and was only with the new girl to make her jealous. Many other things happened too. That's a seriously deranged manipulative girl. Don't even get me started on the time her best friend, guy, had a crush on me, girl. She tried to get me to go out with him just to give him a chance. Even though I truly just liked him as a friend, heck even as a brother. And when I said no the 5th time she started gossiping about how I only like guys for their looks. I never even hinted towards that, and the fact that she was saying so really spoke volumes about what she thought about him, lol. Then he got over me, after his nice guy crisis where he cussed me out, and he started liking her, only for her to reject him, because she only likes him as a friend. brother, and she tried to get all buddy with me by talking him out, telling me she had no idea what he was putting me through even though I told her everything. I've got two. First one was when I was 15. I was walking past my school and about to cross the road when a trio of drunk women in their 40s or 50s started hassling me about how good I looked, pressing me in against the wall and surrounded me so that I couldn't get out and holding me back while they copped feels. Not a fun experience, especially when you can't even tell people about it or how creeped out it's left you. Because as a guy you should somehow be proud when women 3 times your age are grabbing your cock through your trousers against your will. The other one was about 4 years ago. I was 22 and asked a girl I'd met out. She seemed nice at first. Met her in a little cafe while I was waiting to meet some friends and we got talking about Pokemon and some other stuff for 20 or 30 minutes before adding each other on Facebook. Only weird thing was that in that time she told me she'd been raped by her ex. I thought maybe she was just being open about it as a way of dealing with the trauma, so I'll let it slide and messaged her a bit later to see if she'd be interested in a date. She told me that she already had a boyfriend, but that she'd love to hang out as friends, which was fair enough, so I agreed to that and we met up a few days later. She'd brought her boyfriend with her, which I expected. I got the sense he wasn't too comfortable with me, which I can understand, but what threw me was she also brought her ex. I can't 100% say it was the same ex she'd mentioned, but he really gave off that vibe with the way he talked and behaved around her. She kept on talking about dead babies and abortions obsessively as well. You couldn't change the subject at all. Creeped me the hell out, so I just sat there with a smile and acted civil while internally going, please don't kill me. And I haven't spoken to her since. Not a fun experience, especially when you can't even tell people about it or how creeped out it's left you. Because as a guy you should somehow be proud when women 3 times your age are grabbing your cock through your trousers against your will. Yes, you can. Don't let BS societal norms stop you. Seemingly normal looking attractive girl. Took her out on a date. We got drunk. Breaks down saying how she used fentanyl with her ex and ended up in hospital. Now she has to use a catheter for the rest of her life, as it fricked up her urinary system. She was screaming, I have a drug-induced bladder disorder. She is 23. Cried. Tried to get me to finger her beside the catheter. Wasn't feeling it. Then decided I was the enemy and called cops saying I am assaulting her. I recorded her as she went apit calling me names. Cops show up. She is having some sort of mental breakdown. She ends up transported to a psych observation unit at 1 AM. Ended up playing poker. Couple of days later she texts me and asks, wanna hang out? Guess what I did? Got married? And that, kids, is how I met your mother. Faked your death. Got a fake passport and now live under the assumed identity in a small fishing village in South America? This girl followed me home after a date and stayed outside my house, and when I came out the next morning and acted like it was so funny we bumped into each other, I told her I will call the cops and she ran. Did she camp there? How much will that girl had to spend a night there? Those goddamn campers. They don't play Call of Duty how it was intended. It was when I was back in school. There was this girl who used to sit just behind my seat. She was good looking, but was very distant from everybody and talked with nobody. Her social skills was zero. But I tried talking to her. We get to know each other. I thought we became friends. We started sitting on the same seat. One day she said, I know why you're friend with me. I said, why? She says, you want this right? Then she pulls her skirt slightly up and panty down and showed me the pussy whose image is imprinted in my memory. We were 16 by the way. Then she giggles. I looked at her exhibition and then back into her eyes. I could see a psychotic smile on her face. She was the creepiest girl I've ever met in my entire life. Poor girl with such a warped sense of society. I wonder if she was abused. She might be on the autistic spectrum too. Those behaviors are common. Also, she could have been just nuts. Some people are nuts. No abuse needed. Pretty sure she was good looking, quiet, zero social skills, but ready show her body to a random person. No offense to you, but given the situation, quite right. That doesn't happen in a normal family. Not a guy myself, but one I dated had a couple fun stories. One was a girl he got set up with by friends on a blind date. As they went out to dinner, they passed a jewelry store, and she insisted on going in so they could pick out rings for when they get engaged. He paid for dinner and noped right out. The second one went better until he took her back to her place, where she went to the kitchen, pulled a nice big, sharp chef's knife, and told him he was staying the night. He said, "I did what any red-blooded American male would do." Agreed, but said I needed to go to the bathroom, where I promptly crawled out the window and never saw her again.